What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
His younger brothers, Fen and Glassword, were among them. I had heard that several in his ranks were on par with Demon Lord seeds, though still a step below million-class beings. The most formidable of these were the 5 warrior generals, the elite fighters of the Chained Titan army, and the most notable of them was
Fen's return is problematic. Dagruel is reverting to his ancient evil god form, and with that, the 4-armed Basara will awaken.
the 4-armed Basara, Dagruel's second in command, was as strong as Glassword, the other deputy. That meant Basara was million-class. Honestly, the number of secret powerhouses on both Rumina's and Dagruel's sides seemed overwhelming. I couldn't help but wonder how balanced the Demon Lord factions really were, especially with figures like Carrion and Frey serving under seemingly more playful commanders. I voiced my frustration, and Rumina's responded matter-of-factly.
Isn't it obvious? I've been a demon lord since ancient times, as have others. We've accumulated powerful allies and expanded our influence over the years. Carrion and Frey are impressive as new demon lords, but they're still newcomers.
Her words carried a sense of superiority, but they were backed by centuries of experience. Rumina's and Dagruel had lived not for just 1,000 or 2,000 years, but tens of thousands, if not more. Reaching the level of million class in a mere 100 or 200 years was an incredibly rare feat, and I found myself at a loss for words when she explained that.
In that regard, you're a complete anomaly. Just how many million-class beings do you command? I'd love to know what kind of magic you use to gather such strong individuals in such a short time.
I was so taken aback that an slipped out of me, asking me how it happened. I didn't really know either, so I had no answer. Sensing that it was better not to continue this topic, I changed the subject to something that had been bothering me for a while.
By the way, you seem to know quite a lot about Dagruel's forces. Did you also know about Fen, Rumina's?
She gave me a mildly annoyed look but still answered my question.
Naturally. By the time I was born, Fen had already been sealed away, but the damage he caused was still evident. The divine ancestor used to tell me stories of those days with great enthusiasm. In fact, Fen's actions were the reason the divine ancestor created Kazara and Basara.
Rumina's explained that Kasara and Basara were the ancestors of the giants, created by the divine ancestor based on Dagruel and the true giants. As twins, Kasara and Basara constantly quarreled over who was the elder sibling, and their fierce disputes caused significant destruction at the time. Rumina's even joked that all disasters could be traced back to the divine ancestor. Things settled down once Kasara and Basara lost a fight to Dagruel and became his disciples.
Using poison to counter poison, I suppose, though watching Dagruel's power grow wasn't exactly enjoyable.
This power struggle eventually led to a rivalry with Rumina's. Things changed when Dagruel married Kasara. It's often said that family can calm a person down, and that was apparently true for Dagruel. Peace lasted for a while, but it was really just a lull before the next conflict. Rumina's mentioned that peace and war alternated every 100 years or so. I wasn't particularly interested in a detailed history lesson, so I asked her to summarize the important parts. Kasara, Dagruel's wife, passed away during childbirth. Basara was devastated by the loss of his twin sister, and the two had quarreled so much because they were incredibly close. Or at least, that's what I assumed. Grieving, Basara was placed under house arrest by Dagruel and forced into a long sleep. However, Rumina's said it was almost certain that he had now awakened. Ultima's report had also mentioned this.
There was a fearsome brute known as the Four-Armed a long time ago. I asked about him, and it seems he's been locked away all this time. The old man said he'd release him if necessary.
Considering that, it was almost guaranteed that Basara would appear as an enemy this time. And if Ultima said he was troublesome, then he was definitely someone to worry about. So, Basara leads a group known as the 5 Warrior Generals, selected through an annual competition to showcase their abilities. However, since the average lifespan of giants is only around 500 years, these members are chosen from the ancient titans, high-ranking fighters who live for more than 1,000 years. It's said that younger giants sometimes reincarnate as their ancestors, and this competition has become a source of national pride in Damerganya. While the 5 warrior generals are impressive, they don't pose as much of a threat as Basara, their leader. I'd rank them below the Beastketiers and the 2 Wings. In other words, the 7 great nobles under Rumina's are stronger. Here's a breakdown of the forces on both sides. First, Rumina's side. Gunther and Louis are million-class beings, with existence values just above 1 million. The 7 great nobles are comparable to demon lord seeds, and their existence values range between 200,000 and 600,000, with some variation among them. There had also been the 7 luminary clerics as a frontline force, but they were wiped out in a tragic incident. There hasn't been time to replace them with new champions from the human race, but eventually, the Holy Knights will take on that role. That sums up Rumina's forces. Now, Dagruel's side. There's Glassword and Fen, Dagruel's brothers. Glassword's existence value is rumored to be just under 2 million, while Fen's is even higher than Dagruel's, making them incredibly powerful. Basara, as mentioned earlier, is a bit weaker than Glassword, with an existence value a little over 1 million, putting him on par with Gunther. The remaining 5 warrior generals fall between 150,000 and 300,000. While they aren't as much of a threat as the Beastketeers, there's a problem with the other high-level fighters they have. There are nearly 100 of these fighters, with existence values ranging from 100,000 to 150,000. It's no surprise, considering the annual competition selects their replacements. Still, having nearly 100 participants at that level is a significant threat. Although quality is more important than quantity, when the numbers exceed a certain threshold, it becomes a headache. A quick victory, like what we managed with Velgrant-san, would be ideal, but I doubt Dagruel would allow that.
It's been a while since I felt overwhelmed by sheer numbers,
I remarked.
Well, I've always anticipated that I'd be at a disadvantage in a full-scale war. Despite being on the edge of one for so long, I prepared accordingly. But unfortunately, our forces were reduced significantly by a certain slime.
Wait, hey, that's ancient history.
Arguing wasn't going to solve anything. At this point, I was thinking I'd have to send reinforcements from Tempest. Just as that thought crossed my mind, Shion entered the conversation with a confident smile.
Rimuru-sama, there's no need to fear Dagruel.
Shion stood up and called out to someone behind the door.
You all can come in now.
At her command, a group of men nervously walked into the room. Wait, these guys.
It's been a while. I am Dagruel.
I am Lyra. I am Deborah.
I had left them under Shion's care and kind of forgotten about them. These are Dagruel's sons. I mean, I hadn't completely forgotten, but since Dagruel suddenly became an enemy, I hadn't really thought about what to do with them.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm glad to see you're all doing well, but are you aware of what's happening right now?
If they wanted to return to Dagruel's side, it would be best to let them go without making them prisoners. Honestly, they are each stronger than a demon lord seed, so it would be a real problem if they joined the enemy. However, if we kept them captive, we'd need to assign forces to guard them, which could create unnecessary complications. Killing unarmed opponents was definitely not an option, and I couldn't think of a better solution. Isolating them in Ramirez's labyrinth was a possibility, but that would just put extra strain on her group, so it wasn't the safest choice. As I mulled this over, I waited for the 3 of them to respond. What I got was quite unexpected.
Of course, father's betrayal is disgraceful.
We had heard stories about Uncle Fena's kids, but we never thought he would come back in our time.
He was a real monster, and it seems like he is on the same level as our dad.
Surprisingly, they seemed to be speaking as if they were on our side. So, I had to ask.
We're about to go to war with your father. Are you sure you're okay with that?
Yes, we are. We have some personal feelings, but more than that, we want to test our strength.
Just like my older brother said, Shion-sama has been training us every day. We've been honing both our bodies and minds, eating good food, and sparring with friends. The strength we've gained is meant to defend this environment, not let it be destroyed.
We're actually pretty excited to show off our progress. I plan to use my power and beat my uncle and the others to a pulp.
They were all saying the same thing in unison. They seemed genuinely prepared to fight against Dagruel and his forces. When I glanced at Shion, she nodded confidently, looking proud as if this was the natural result of her efforts.
Now, what should I do? Is it really okay to send these 3 to the battlefield?
There's no issue.
As I was contemplating the situation, Seal-san responded immediately. But what about the risk of betrayal? I believed their sincerity, but if it turned out to be false, it could endanger our forces. Some of our allies might also be uncomfortable fighting alongside the sons of the enemy leader. Yet, Seal-san remained firm in her stance.
That's highly improbable, because...
Before she could even finish, the door swung open, and Shion's men entered the room. The first to speak was a stern-looking older brother, who quickly voiced his opinion.
Rimuru-sama, we trust Daigichi and the others.
Gobzo.
I almost didn't recognize him, with that unusually determined expression on his face. His appearance hadn't changed, but his aura was completely different. And now, he was speaking about trusting Dagura and his brothers. It wasn't just Gobzo either, Shiin's Yomigari squad also stepped in to defend Dagura and the others. It was clear they truly believed in them. Or maybe they were worried that I'd imprison or get rid of them. That's a bit unsettling. Sure, I'm pragmatic, but I wasn't planning to suddenly dispose of them just because I feared they might turn against us.
Rimuru-sama. As you can see, we're united. We haven't been trained to be soft, so we won't falter over something this small.
Shiin, who was responsible for Dagruel's sons, looked me directly in the eyes as she spoke, full of conviction. That would have been enough to settle it for me, but then Ruminez made an unexpected comment.
Rimuru, I must admit, part of me wants to deal with Dagruel's sons.
I was about to insist I didn't feel the same way, but Ruminez quickly continued.
But, I think we can trust them.
Given her notorious bad blood with Dagruel, this came as a surprise. Curious, I asked her why she thought that. She gave me a wry look before explaining.
Xi'an's improvement in cooking was only possible thanks to them.
And what exactly does that mean?
Who do you think dared to taste her food? I wasn't keen on it, but there's always someone curious. One of the 7 great nobles stepped up, and he ended up bedridden for a month.
Apparently, the noble assumed that being undead made him immune to such consequences, but he was wrong. I thought to myself, what an idiot, though I kept quiet. Still, brave or foolish, actions like that often lead to great discoveries. Take the first people to try eating sea urchins or sea cucumbers, for example. Some say they were forced to eat them as punishment, but in the end, they made a lasting contribution to the culinary world. In that sense, this noble was actually pretty courageous. I nodded slightly, encouraging Ruminez to continue.
After that, no one else wanted to taste Xi'an's food, but those 3 stepped forward. Their willingness moved everyone. Even my subordinates couldn't help but acknowledge Dagura and his brothers.
I see now. Behind Shiin's progress in cooking was a tale of unexpected hardship.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Havox, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, JV, Thomas, Christ, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Darius King, Normal Defate, Vicente Baharias, Joshua Andrade, L, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Christopher Mash, Charles Bailey, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Guy Ensley, Simon Rode, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Smexy, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Vasto Lord, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Jahid Hassan Lipu, Spencer Candila, Ian Sikibiol, Thana Cornley Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Alex Buthanu, Michael Brinkley, Nathan Alexander, Mario Kanoy, Karam Faraj. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.